It was getting on 11 the following evening, and the entire house of Carver, from the lowest stable hand to the Duke himself, stood at attention in Castle Beaubourg's courtyard. The rain was misting, a fine drizzle that showed no sign of abating. Anna had been up and down what seemed like 20 times that day. No one dared touch the feast, now gone cold, and no one dared take a bit of leisure, lest his high and mighty arrive without warning. They had been kept apprised of the king's halting progress by a succession of messengers, all claiming his majesty would arrive soon, the last one having left a half hour ago. He'd been due earlier that afternoon. Blast these royals. Anna shivered in her damp gown. Selfish, slow, full of their own airs. The butcher's wife due with her babe any moment. Mary and I stuck here. She heard the thick clomp of hooves fast approaching. No doubt another fleet of messengers. She'd go to bed after this final insult, king or no. Just as she turned to beg permission from her father, horses tore into the yard, mud flying, whinnying and wet, their riders bedraggled in their court dress. A tall, cloaked man at the center dismounted in haste, barely waiting for his black beast to halt, the others scrambling after him. Your Grace, the man said, striding to her father, not bothering to pull back his hood. His boots were covered with mud. How disrespectful of her father's rank and weight. They were all alike, no matter what Brian said. Please accept our most humble apologies for our tardiness, the man said. It seems the weather up north frowns upon our journey, and as you can tell from our state, we've been stuck a long while. Your Majesty, her father said, bowing, then taking the king's proffered hand and kissing his ring. 'Tis a trifle to wait upon such an honor. Please let us retire to dryness and warmth. Anna gasped, unsure whether to be appalled or astounded at this behavior. The two men entered the castle, followed by another four of the king's party. Anna heard the king's deep voice booming out. Our carriage shall be along at some point, hopefully by the time of our needed departure. Certainly, sire, my men shall attend to every need, her father replied. They'll soon be about seeing to your steed, a creature of rare beauty, I must add. Their voices faded, and Mary caught hold of Anna's arm, pulling her into the foyer. Ye look a fright. She busied about Anna's hair, which had frizzled in the damp. What does it matter? I shall retire and make my official appearance in the morning. She didn't care how the king would look upon such a breach. It served him right, keeping them waiting like this. Ugh, weather, what a paltry excuse. You'll do no such thing, dearie, Mary said, moving to refluff Anna's sleeves. 'Tis the king who's here, not some horse trader, and the king needs to learn his manners. By flouting your own. Nay, Anna, you were raised better, if I say so myself. Mary gave a final shake to Anna's skirts. Maybe with the light so dim he'll not see the dirt on the hem. Anna stood, glowering, as more laughter echoed in the hall. Out with you. Mary gave her a little shove on the backside. Anna stumbled the few steps into the archway leading to the sunken hall where the men had all sat down to eat, the king at the far end, in her father's usual place, her father to the king's right. The hall was darker than normal, as if the gloom from outside had drifted in with the king's party and hung over the table. She could barely make out the men's faces close to her, shadowed as they all were by the pall that even a surplus of candles could not pierce. She stopped on the top stair, unsure whether to enter there or go around through the hallway to her father. But the laughter crusted, and she noticed the king joining in. He glanced in her direction, stroking his cheek. His smile faded. Even at such a distance, she could feel his eyes bore through her. Her heart sped like a sparrow under a cat's paw. Benches and chairs scraped the stone floor as the men rose to honor her entrance, all but the king. He remained seated, watching. She furrowed her brow at him and saw the flicker of a smirk break. So, she was entertaining, was she? Your Highness, her father said, hurrying to her side, may I present my daughter, the Lady Eleanor Matilda of Beaubourg. Anna curtsied low, glad to avoid the king's sharp eyes. Lady Eleanor, the king said, we're pleased and hope you accept our regrets for the lateness of the hour. Please join us at table. At her table. Thank you, Majesty, she said. She rose and moved to the lone seat at the far end between two of the royal party, a thin blonde man and an older one, heavy and balding. She sat without ceremony, took a long swig of wine, and set her goblet down with too much force, hushing the conversation enough to attract Brian's attention. He gave her a sheepish look from across the table. She picked up a fork and stabbed at a piece of cold venison. Meat secure, mouth open, and morsel halfway to its mark, she looked up to find the king still staring at her. She put her bite down slowly, her eyes following it to the plate. Damn it! Stop looking at me with those blasted eyes! By all means, dear lady, eat, he said. The men were silent, everyone now watching her. Begging your pardon, Majesty, she said, eyes glued to her plate. As we long awaited your party, I had not a moment to eat since noontime. She knew it was rude, but she couldn't help it. At least it should stop his stares. Of course, the king said. She felt his eyes leave her, and then her breath return. Your Grace, tell me more of your stables. This was the cue for the rest of the men to resume eating and talking. How skittish they all seemed, all save the two flanking her. The one on her left, the big one, reached out and patted her forearm. Pay no heed, my lady, he said. She glanced up to find hazel eyes dancing in the dim candlelight. I especially enjoy the plum sauce with the venison. Finer plum sauce is not even found in Havenside, I dare say. His smile was so sincere she couldn't help but smile back. The Duke of Halford, at your service, my lady. He made a little twirling salute with his hand, and the gentleman to your right is His Grace the Duke of Cecil. Cecil turned to her and nodded with a perfunctory smile. My lady, it is indeed a pleasure, and His Grace is correct. The plum sauce surpasses that of even Rome. Your Grace has been to Rome? Her pale cheeks flushed. She had not been able to mask her eagerness. Yes, my lady, but I didn't mean to boast, only compliment the sauce. But of course, I merely wish to. It's just that. Please, Your Grace, speak to me more of your travels. The Duke acquiesced with almost enough details to satisfy her, the jolly Halthorn interjecting his wit until the talk of travels finally subsided. So 'tis true, your ladyship has a learned mind, Halthorn said after a mouthful of sweetbreads. If only my daughters would take a lesson from you, my dear. How have you heard such, Your Grace? How could anyone outside of Beaubourg have heard anything about her, let alone the state of her mind? Ah, but of course, Brian had just returned from court. Halford laughed. Why, it's our business to know of all the ladies of the land what his grace means to say, Cecil started, but the voice of the king rose above them. We're afraid there's no remedy, your grace, as we're already so delayed. We really must away tomorrow morning. Please don't take it as any reflection upon your hospitality. Of course not, sire, her father said. I only wish to have given you the time you needed, as the matter is of such import. Worry not, said the king. Things shall present themselves much more clearly after a night's rest. If her ladyship would be so inclined as to break fast with us, we do not believe our early departure will hamper the matter. If that be the case, Highness, Anna said, I shall be to bed now, if you please. The king raised his thick brows at her. Her father sat stunned. Please excuse my daughter, Highness. She is used to less formality, as in usual circumstances. Only she and I are at table. Oh, think nothing of it, your grace, the king said. A lady who speaks her mind is one to be admired, is she not? Several at the table called out, hear, hear, and raised their glasses in toast. To her or the king, she could not tell. She pushed herself away from the table. Then I shall. You have our leave, the king said, fixing her in mid-rise with that unnerving stare of his. How dare he make her feel so small in her own home? But of course, that's what kings did best. Majesty, she said, dipping into the faintest of curtsies and meeting his gaze with the force of her own. The distinct honor of your presence has been mine. Please continue to enjoy our hospitality as seems fitting to you. With that, she turned from all those men with their disconcerted faces and left them to grovel before their tyrant of a king.